You know what's interesting? The moment two people stop talking to each other, most people think it's over. The silence settles in, the notifications stop, and everyone assumes that's the end. But here's what they don't tell you. That's not where it ends. That's actually where the real battle begins. A psychological chess match played entirely in silence. No drama, no arguments, just pure mental warfare. And today, I'm breaking down exactly what's happening in her mind during that silence, why it's more powerful than any text you could send, and how understanding this gives you an edge most men will never have. Stay with me because what I'm about to reveal changes everything you thought you knew about attraction. When the messages stop coming, something unexpected happens first. She feels relieved. I know that sounds backwards, but hear me out. For the first time in weeks, maybe months, there's no pressure, no need to respond, no emotional chess game, no walking on eggshells. She thinks to herself, finally, I don't have to deal with this anymore. I'm good on my own. And you know what? She believes it, completely. She's out with friends, posting stories, throwing herself into work, hitting the gym, doing everything to prove to herself and everyone watching that she's thriving. This looks like she's moved on, right? Wrong. This is just the surface. What's really happening is her mind is building a defense mechanism, a temporary shield against what the silence actually means. Think of it like emotional Novocaine. It numbs the pain for now, but it always wears off. CTA, or 1. And before we go deeper, if you're finding value in this, do me a solid and hit that subscribe button. I'm breaking down psychology that most dating coaches won't touch, and your support helps me keep bringing you this content. All right, let's continue. After that initial calm passes, and it always passes, curiosity starts creeping in. It's subtle at first. Maybe she's scrolling through her phone during a slow moment and thinks, I wonder what he's up to. Then it grows. Why hasn't he reached out? Did I not mean anything? Is there someone new? Does he even think about me anymore? Here's where the psychology gets fascinating. When we don't have answers, our brain goes into overdrive trying to create them. She starts imagining scenarios, building narratives, creating entire stories about what you're doing and why. You're no longer just some guy who stopped texting. You've become a mystery, an unanswered question. And the human mind is wired to hate unanswered questions. This is when she starts checking your social media, not just once, multiple times a day. She's analyzing your posts, looking for clues, trying to decode your mood, not because she necessarily wants you back, but because uncertainty triggers attachment. Her brain is literally searching for closure, and every day she doesn't get it, the loop repeats. You're living rent-free in her head, without saying a single word. Now we enter the most intense phase, the battle between her ego and her emotions. Her ego is loud and clear. If he wanted me, he'd text. I'm not breaking first. I deserve someone who makes an effort. He doesn't get to waltz back in after going silent. But her emotions? They're whispering something completely different. Why do I still think about him? Why does this bother me so much? What if I misjudged the situation? What if he was actually worth it? This conflict is exhausting. It drains her mentally because emotions don't care about logic. They don't follow rules, they just exist. And the longer you stay silent, the louder those emotions become. Here's where most guys blow it completely. They break the silence too soon. They send a weak, hey, a random meme, some low-effort, just checking in message that screams desperation. And the second they do that, game over. The mystery collapses, the tension evaporates, her ego wins, and her attraction plummets. Why? Because now she knows you broke first. You needed her validation more than she needed yours. You couldn't handle the silence. True silence has to be complete. No breadcrumbs, no accidental likes, no emotional leaks. Total radio silence. Because in this game, the first person to break usually loses the power. If you're learning something valuable here, make sure you like this video and drop a comment letting me know what resonates. And don't forget to share this with someone who needs to understand these dynamics. Now let's keep going. While the silence continues, something subtle but powerful happens. She starts comparing. Every guy who messages her now, every date she goes on, every conversation she has, they're all being measured against you. And here's the twist most people don't see coming. If none of them make her feel the way you did, your value skyrockets without you doing anything. She sits across from a date who's checking all the boxes on paper. Good job, good looks, says all the right things. But something's missing. The conversation feels flat. The energy isn't there. The spark is gone. And in that moment, she remembers how you challenged her, how you didn't try too hard, how you made her feel understood without needing to perform. Because here's the truth about attraction. It's not about availability. It's about emotional impact. It's about the unique space you occupied in her world. If you created real depth, real tension, real connection, your absence becomes a spotlight that highlights what everyone else lacks. Silence creates contrast. Contrast creates desire. You're not competing with other men. You're competing with the memory of how she felt when she was with you. This is the stage that explains why exes come back months later, why no contact works, why silence carries more weight than words ever could. Our brains don't remember relationships accurately. They don't file away every argument, every annoyance, every frustration with crystal clarity. Instead, they remember feelings, sensations, emotional moments. She forgets the little things that irritated her, but she remembers how you made her laugh, how she felt chosen, how she felt safe enough to be vulnerable with you, how she felt alive in your presence. This is called the emotional echo, when the feeling lingers long after the logic says it shouldn't. Your voice, your energy, your presence. They created neural pathways in her brain. And those pathways trigger emotional responses even when you're gone, especially when you're gone. The longer the silence, the stronger the echo. Because nostalgia is selective. It amplifies the highlights, softens the lowlights, and creates a greatest hits reel in her memory. That's why a simple message weeks or months later can hit so hard. It's not about the words. It's because the emotion was never fully resolved. The chapter was never properly closed. And unfinished stories have more power than completed ones. Eventually, a thought appears in her mind. I wonder how he'd respond if I reached out. She might not actually text you, probably won't, at least not right away. But she's thinking about it. She's drafting messages in her head. Hey, how have you been? I was thinking about you. Random question for you. She's playing out scenarios, predicting your reaction, analyzing potential outcomes. And here's what matters. Even if she never sends that message, you've already re-entered her emotional world. You're taking up mental space without asking for it, without chasing it. Real quick, if this video is opening your eyes to something you've experienced but never understood, smash that subscribe button and turn on notifications. I drop videos like this every week that dig into the real psychology behind attraction and relationships. Trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming next. Let me be crystal clear about something. Silence isn't a guaranteed win. There's no magic formula, no script that plays out the same way every time. But there is a massive psychological advantage. And it goes to the person who can stay grounded. The one who doesn't chase, doesn't react emotionally, doesn't seek constant validation, doesn't need immediate closure, doesn't panic in the void. That person holds the leverage, not because they're playing games or being manipulative, but because they're secure. They understand that their value doesn't depend on someone else's acknowledgement. That silence is just space, neutral territory. It's not rejection, it's not indifference, it's simply space. And confidence that doesn't need to announce itself? That's magnetic. Most people can't sit in silence. They need constant feedback, reassurance, validation. But the person who can exist comfortably in the quiet, they radiate a different kind of power. Quiet power. The kind that doesn't shout but everyone feels. Now listen carefully. Silence is not a manipulation tactic. If you're using it to punish, control, or mess with someone's head, it will backfire. People sense intention even when you're not saying anything. Your energy speaks volumes. Manipulative silence feels cold and calculated. But grounded silence? That feels calm, purposeful, and self-respecting. When silence comes from genuine self-respect, from emotional maturity, from actually focusing on your own growth and peace, it changes everything. Because then it's not about her anymore. It's about you, your healing, your clarity, your boundaries, your life. And that kind of silence doesn't just create attraction, it creates respect. Because the strongest form of presence isn't attention, it's detachment with impact. Being unavailable but unforgettable, absent but influential, gone but impossible to forget. The most powerful thing you can say is sometimes nothing at all. When your silence speaks confidence. If this video gave you clarity, if it explained something you felt but couldn't put into words, if it gave you a new perspective on something you've been going through, do 3 things for me. First, hit that like button. Second, subscribe to this channel because this is where we talk about real psychology, real attraction, and the uncomfortable truths that most people won't touch. We don't do surface-level advice here. We go deep into what actually works. And third, share this with someone who needs to hear it. Check out the other videos on this channel because we're building a community of people who understand that modern relationships require more than just tips and tricks. They require real psychological understanding. I'll see you in the next one. Stay strong, stay focused, and remember, your value doesn't decrease based on someone's inability to see it.